Students in the Year 1 level will be participating in a design and technology learning lesson where they will be focusing on sinking and floating objects. This lesson will be called Getting Your Boat into Shape. The sinking and floating learning lesson will be teacher-initiated as students participate in guided investigations to explore and answer questions which result in deeper learning of students' scientific concepts. Getting Your Boat into Shape experience focuses on students applying practical skills and processes while using technologies and design by creating solutions through manipulating materials into different forms in order for it to float. Problem-solving processes take place as students discover the forms and shapes which must be created with the plasticine in order for floating to take place. Problem-solving, critical thinking, innovation, and creative thinking are vital 21st century skill thinking processes which all students must obtain. The teacher is aware of students' background knowledge as students' background knowledge of sinking and floating materials from the foundation year as students clearly understand that the objects and materials have observable properties. Students show an understanding of heavier objects sinking and light objects are more likely to float. Students' knowledge will be further extended as they explore different materials and the effects of different materials and their form of shape may have. Throughout the learning experience, the learning objectives will be that students will be determining what material an object is made of and whether it can sink or float. Students will be exploring the characteristics and properties of materials and components that are used to produce design solutions. This lesson will be taking place indoors in the classroom, and the resources that the students will be using will be some plasticine and a tub filled with water. The assessment strategies that will be used and applied by the teacher will be questioning technique, which contains cues and prompts that will be applied by the teacher during the experience to identify students' understandings, ideas, and thought processes whilst learning is taking place. The teacher looks and listens for students' responses throughout the activity. At the end of the lesson, students will be given individual written feedback from the observations the teacher has viewed to improve and further develop children's learning. The first 30 minutes of the lesson will be an introduction as the teacher introduces the topic through an overview discussion with the class in regards to the meaning of sinking and floating, prompting questions to the class and have a clear understanding of students' knowledge and understandings. The questions that the teacher will be asking will be, what kinds of objects do you think will float or sink? And what causes certain objects to float and some to sink? The teacher proposes a task that enables students to share with the class their understanding of floating and sinking materials. Teacher will prompt a problem. This will be a problem-based experience. And the question the teacher will be asking will be, how will you make the plasticine float? From then, the teacher observes students' skills and knowledges that are being applied as they interact and collaborate with their group in order to problem solve and make the plasticine float. Questions are prompted to students in regards to their plan on making the plasticine float. Also suggestions to guide and scaffold learning and thinking processes. To conclude the lesson, the teacher inquires for students to write a written self-assessment and to share their assessment with the class. Written feedback is given to each student's self-evaluation forms to further extend children's skills and knowledge.